Hello everyone. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It would really help the channel out quite a bit. Thank you very much.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. What happens to the dead people? They leave us so abruptly, without even looking back. But we do not let them go so easily. With memories, with feelings left unresolved, with old affections and old resentments hanging on, we are left with unfinished business. It's painful. We want to forget the dead, and we can't. But what about them? Are they just as troubled? Just as restless, just as filled with memories and desires? It's something to wonder about. There he is.
I see him.
Bonjour, mes amis.
I heard him.
Comment ça va?
I touched him. I touched him.
Our mystery drama, The Sensitive, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Gordon Gould and Teri Keane. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and X-Lax. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
If you'd really like a big car, but you really think you ought to buy a small car, maybe what you ought to buy is a mid-sized car. To be specific, a Buick Century Custom. The Century Custom, you see, offers a lot of the room and comfort you look for in a big car. And the trim size and the V6 engine give you a lot of the benefits of a small car. But the Century Custom has one more thing going for it. It's a Buick. And no matter what size car you're looking for, you just can't do much better than that.
I guess I'm lucky. My family's always been healthy. Oh, a touch of constipation now and then. But we've got X-Lax for that.
When you need a laxative, shouldn't your first choice be the one more families buy than any other? That's today's X-Lax. Families like the chocolated taste. You'll like the way X-Lax works, gently overnight for relief in the morning. Next time, make gentle chocolated X-Lax your first choice. For occasional use only as directed.
We've always been healthy, and X-Lax is part of that.
The grass may be greener on the other side of the fence, but if it's taller on your side, you need a new lawnmower from True Value Hardware Stores. They offer Lawn Chief power mowers designed to make cutting your lawn easier, like a Lawn Chief 20-inch rotary mower for just $109.99. It features the 3.5 horsepower engine with an easy lift starter and fingertip height adjusters. True Value Hardware Stores also offer a 21-inch Lawn Chief power mower with two-sided trimming. It mows close to trees, through fence gates, and it comes with its own rear grass catcher. See the complete selection of Lawn Chief power mowers from rotary models to self-propelled rear baggers and riding tractors. Only at participating True Value Hardware Stores.
True Value Hardware, it's more than just a name. It's a way of doing business that means true value.
Our story begins and ends in a suburb. And our characters are all suburbanites. People who want the culture and sophistication of a large city, but would like to see a tree just outside the window with a bird hopping about in it. People who like the theater, but long to live in a house with a backyard and a front yard, an upstairs and a downstairs.
A doctor's office?
Dr. Hayes there? This is Philo Denby. It's personal.
Just a moment, Mr. Denby.
Philo,
Yeah, what?
dinner's on the table.
I'm talking to Frank.
Philo?
Yeah. How's everything, Frank?
Okay. You?
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Well, I just wanted to check with you about the tryouts. When are they?
End of next week.
Oh. What part are you trying out for?
I thought the part of Gregor's.
Oh, that's a good part. Really good.
Yeah, what about you?
Well, I thought Hjalmar.
Ah, that's the lead.
Yeah. Well, I've acted in Ibsen before, you know. Remember Hedda Gabler?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course, it wasn't the leading part.
Hjalmar's the leading part in The Wild Duck.
Yeah, I got very good write-ups in the Bugle for Hedda Gabler. I don't know if you read them.
No, I wasn't in that.
Philo, dinner.
Oh, Sally wants me for something, Frank. I just wanted to check with you about the tryouts.
Right, so long.
Come on, everything's going to get cold.
I want a drink first.
You haven't got time.
It's only 6 o'clock. What are we eating so early for?
Sit down and I'll tell you.
Frank's trying out for Gregor's in The Wild Duck.
Oh?
I think I'd be very good as Hjalmar. Don't you?
Marvelous. Come on, sit down.
Why can't I have a drink? What's the idea of eating at 6 o'clock?
We are going out.
We are? Where to?
And you have to take a bath first.
I'm clean.
And change into your dark suit.
What for?
Your boss's wife called up this morning.
Joan Maynard called up? What did she want?
They're holding another seance tonight.
Oh, not again.
They've been going to a lot of them.
But that last one was so boring.
Well, that was a month ago, and Joan says they've learned a lot since then.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, everybody should take a bath 2 hours before the seance.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And all the men should wear dark suits, and all the women should wear white dresses.
Is that why you got that thing on?
And there's a lot more they've learned. She didn't say what. She said, we'll see when we get there.
I don't want to go.
Oh, Philo, you have to.
If Carl Maynard wasn't my boss...
But he is.
A real dictator. He snaps his fingers and I'm supposed to jump.
Anyway, I want to go.
What for?
I just think there's something to it.
You're nuts.
Last time, I think I really saw something.
I didn't.
It was kind of, a mist. A wispy mist.
Somebody's cigarette.
Oh, come on. You know nobody's allowed to smoke.
Well, something. Not somebody. Not some dead somebody.
Anyway, finish your dinner and take your bath and put on your dark suit. We're due at the Maynards at 8:30.
Well. Come on in.
We're not late, are we?
No. Philo, how are you?
Tip-top. You, Carl?
Never better. John, the Denbys are here.
Be right there.
Come on in the living room.
Hello there. How are you both?
Joan, dear.
Joan.
Hello, Philo.
What have you done to the room?
Aha. That's part of the preparation. You've taken your bath, haven't you?
We both have.
Preparation for what, Carl?
Why, for the materialization, of course. You see, it's been discovered through experimentation that certain conditions are conducive to the materialization of the entity.
Uh-huh.
You'll notice that the room is what you might call slightly chilly.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It is precisely 62 degrees.
That's so.
And you notice the lights?
Very pretty, Carl.
Oh, they're not meant to be pretty. We've discovered that red, yellow, or orange lights encourage the materialization of the entity. The actinic rays of blue or violet, well, they don't care for those.
They?
The entities, my boy, the entities. But they love the warm colors. Hence, we've shaded all the bulbs with red linen. We could have used paper, but...
I had this old red linen dress I didn't wear anymore, so I cut it up.
This is all very interesting, Carl.
Now we have to set the chairs.
Oh, I thought we sat in a circle.
A semicircle. It's much better. Much. Philo, you want to help me set the chairs?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, what darling chairs.
Bentwood. We got them from an ice cream parlor that was going out of business. We have 16 of them.
The ideal seance should have 14 to 16 people, but tonight on such short notice, there wasn't time. We'll start the semicircle here, Philo.
Okay, Carl.
Say, did I hear somewhere that you and Sally belong to the Main Street Players?
Yes, we do.
Enjoy it?
Very much.
Amateur group, isn't it?
Well, strictly speaking, yes. But we've done some very good things. I don't suppose you saw Hedda Gabler. I had a good part in that.
I did see it.
Yeah. We're going to do The Wild Duck next. You like Ibsen?
Oh, I can take him or leave him, you know.
Yeah. We're having tryouts next week. I'm auditioning for the part of Hjalmar. It's the leading role.
Well, I hope you get it.
I think I can do something with it.
Sally wants us to join up.
Oh? Interested in acting, are you?
Oh, not me. Joan. She can sing and dance a little. You people ever do musicals?
Once a year.
Well, now we're all set here. Where are the girls? John, Sally,
Yes, dear.
ready to start?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, maybe we shouldn't expect too much tonight with only 4 people. However, we can but try, right?
Absolutely right.
Be seated, please. Man, woman, man, woman. That's the best way we've been led to believe.
All set?
Sit down, Carl.
We really should have some music. Harmonica is very good, but I couldn't find a recording of a harmonica, so...
We'll just have to do without. Sit down, Carl.
A little Debussy wouldn't be amiss, I feel.
Do sit down, Carl.
We're still experimenting, you understand?
Oh, that's nice.
Please, sit down, Carl.
Yes, I'll sit between Joan and Sally. That leaves you on one end of the semicircle, Philo. Joan on the other end.
You're right.
I think I'm beginning to feel something.
It's too early.
I suppose it is.
Now, it's all right for us to talk, but very quietly, very naturally. No one is to feel any stress or strain. Everybody very relaxed. Understand?
I understand.
Now, the 4 of us constitute a human battery.
Battery?
Yes, we generate power. By joining hands, we concentrate our power. Sally, give me a hand. Joan, give me yours. Sally, give your other hand to Philo. Now, Philo has his right hand free. Joan has her left hand free. From the free hands of Philo and Joan, the power we collectively develop will pass into the sensitive. If we are so fortunate as to have a sensitive in our group...
Oh, I hope so.
Speak softly. Speak naturally, but softly.
Well, I feel so relaxed. Oh, does everybody feel relaxed?
I do. Philo, do you?
Yeah, pretty relaxed.
We should have weighed ourselves.
Weighed ourselves? What does that have to...
No. Speak softly, Philo.
Why should we weigh ourselves?
Because the entity will assume, if he materializes, a temporary human body.
You mean that, Carl?
I most assuredly do mean that, Philo. To build up this temporary human body, the entity must draw substance from the sensitive. Need I tell you that the sensitive must be a uniquely organized man or woman, one from which such substance can be removed temporarily, without injury to his or her health.
Well, we're all very healthy, as far as I know.
I know I am.
I had a physical last week, Philo. You?
A month ago.
You were okay, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But, why do you say we should have weighed ourselves?
Because a true sensitive who loses substance temporarily to the materialized entity loses parts of himself or herself, again, temporarily. I've heard of a sensitive losing as much as 60 pounds.
You don't say.
Now, in a little while, if all goes well, we should feel a gentle wind, a cool breeze on our hands.
Oh, it's all too...
The sensitive in our midst will start to pass into a trance state. He will start to go limp.
Or she will.
And will pass into that condition essential to the entity who wants to work through him.
It's all so... I feel it.
What do you feel, Sally?
The cool wind blowing over our hands. Philo, do you feel it?
I do. I feel it. Carl?
I, too.
It's getting stronger. The wind.
Colder.
Oh, it's very strong.
Philo, do you feel it?
The nerve force is passing through us.
There must be a sensitive here.
Ladies, gentlemen, it is possible, it may even be probable, that we are about to witness the evolution of an entity. Ladies, gentlemen, it is possible, it may even be probable, that we are about to witness the evolution of an entity from a sphere beyond our own.
It just seems incredible, doesn't it?
Now, wait. We can't be sure. No, not yet.
Philo, don't you feel maybe Philo, look.
Quiet, quiet, quiet.
A mist. A vapor coming from Philo's side. His right side.
We must try to give off more power.
I see it. I see it.
There it is.
Bonjour, mes amis.
I hear it.
Comment ça va?
I touched it. I touched it.
Do you believe it? Do you believe that 3 people saw, heard, and touched a being from another sphere? That their combined magnetism drew him into their midst? That from one of them, he made himself a temporary body, including vocal cords? Do you believe that? No matter. They believe it. Strindberg said, an obsessional conviction about supernatural powers causes events that confirm the reality of those powers. And the poet William Blake put it more succinctly when he wrote, a firm persuasion that a thing is so makes it so. We'll come back shortly with Act 2.
Would you like an all-expense-paid vacation to Disneyland in California? I'm Hyman Brown, producer-director of the General Mills Radio Adventure Theater, with news of a wonderful contest. If you are one of our winners, you and 3 family members or friends will fly first class, stay at the Anaheim Hyatt House just across from Disneyland, get all meals free, plus passes to all attractions, including a rocket sled journey on Space Mountain, opening soon. It's adventure and excitement that can only happen at Disneyland. We'll select another winner this week in the second of our 4 weekly random drawings. We also have 400 Mickey Mouse watches for runners-up. No purchase necessary, but contest void where prohibited by law. Get details on how to enter on General Mills Radio Adventure Theater this Saturday and Sunday on the station you're listening to right now.
If a new car is looking real nice, but you're worried about the price, Dodge knows how to give you a nudge. Yeah, Dodge is talking your language.
Talking price about a new car, but those other guys aren't even talking in your price league? See your Chicagoland Dodge dealer. He's talking your language with the unbelievable Dodge Aspen. It's priced $373 less than Mercury Monarch, $302 less than Ford Granada. Based on sticker prices for comparably equipped 2-door models, Aspen's hundreds of dollars less. So if our new Aspen's looking real nice, but you're worried about the price, your Chicagoland Dodge dealer knows how to give you a nudge.
Dodge is talking your language. Dodge is
One of the Chicagoland Dodge dealers is Aurora Dodge, 1282 Lake Street in Aurora.
Dodge.
As our first act ended, Philo and Sally and Carl and Joan were seated in a semicircle with hands joined. The lights were shaded with red linen. The temperature of the room registered a chilly 62 degrees. A cool breeze had started to blow across their hands, increasing to a strong wind. They were awaiting the materialization of an entity from another sphere.
Look, a mist, a vapor. I see it.
There it is.
Bonjour, mes amis.
I hear it.
Comment ça va?
I touched it. I touched it.
Now, quiet, everybody. Everybody must remain relaxed and quiet. We don't want to frighten him.
What is that? Philo? Look, it's Philo.
Is he all right? He looks so
He's shrunken. He looks as though he shrunk. He's smaller somehow.
Now, don't be alarmed, ladies, and remain calm. Philo is our sensitive.
Philo. Speak to me. Say something.
He can't, Sally. He's in a deep trance.
But is that all right?
All sensitives pass into a state of trance.
Why?
Hello.
He said something.
How are you?
Philo. He did say something. I heard him.
He's not speaking to us, Sally. He's speaking to the entity.
Will the entity answer?
We must wait and see. In all probability, he will. Philo is waiting, I think, for the entity to build up his temporary body.
The vapor is rising. Look.
Sally, you said you touched it?
I did. I think I did.
How did it feel?
Like unbaked bread. Like bread when it starts to rise.
I see a head.
Yes. Shoulders?
A whole body.
He's wearing a uniform of some sort.
Oh, who is he? Who is he?
Who is he?
Who are you, sir? My name is Pierre Sorel. In life, I was a soldier in the army of the great Emperor Napoleon. I died in his service, having lost my leg at the Battle of Borodino, fighting the Russians.
He's still wearing the uniform.
He has a wooden leg.
To think that Philo, of all people, Philo...
Sally, do you think you could touch the entity again? He's standing directly in front of you.
I don't want to let go of Philo's hand. It's so cold.
He's in a trance, dear girl. It can't hurt him if you let go.
Touch the entity, Sally.
Sir? Pierre? Do you mind?
I don't think he'll speak to anyone but Philo.
Go on. Touch him.
He's very warm.
Yes. He's very good looking.
He must have died young.
Do you want to tell us any more about yourself? No.
I wish he'd say something about us.
Yes. Yes, tell us what's going to happen. Something like that.
There is a little lady in this room who likes to sing and dance.
Me? That's me.
She has done so in the past.
Oh, that's true. I have before I got married.
Retrocognition, knowledge of the past.
Well, what about the future?
Precognition.
Will the little lady sing and dance again, Pierre? Not immediately. But someday? Yes, someday. When, Pierre? Dancing, singing upon a stage with an audience, much applause.
When?
When, Pierre? It will be some months before... yes, months. First, the little lady will fall ill. Yes, she will be sick for a time.
Oh.
But she will recover? Mais oui, oh yes. She will recover and live to dance and sing upon a stage.
You hear that, honey? Must mean the Main Street Players.
Oh, yes.
I wonder, can he see ahead for the rest of us? Oh, darn it. I wish I could ask him things.
So do I.
Well, maybe Philo will ask him if he knows what we want.
Oh, Philo must be telepathic. He's a true sensitive. He must have a huge amount of the psi faculty. He must be loaded with it.
Or he couldn't have materialized, Pierre.
You see, people with large amounts of the psi quality have precognition, retrocognition, clairvoyance, and telepathy.
Yeah. Remember when I said, what about the future? Remember, Carl? And right away, Philo said, will the little lady sing and dance again, Pierre? Remember that?
And Pierre said, someday.
And I said, when?
And Philo said, when, Pierre? Oh, of course, Philo's telepathic.
If he'd only asked the entity about me.
Do you see the future for someone else, Pierre? For a man, perhaps?
You see?
Success.
Oh, how? When? What?
Soon.
He's fading.
It's going away.
Success. Soon.
He's gone. Oh, Pierre,
Philo, dear? You awake?
Yeah.
I brought you some soup and a few crackers.
Sally?
Yes, darling. I brought you some soup. Split pea.
What's it for? Lunch?
Dinner.
I had dinner.
Well, that was yesterday.
Huh?
Come on, try it. It's good.
What am I doing in bed?
Darling, you were sleeping. I didn't want to disturb you till I was sure you were all slept out.
Well, how long have I been asleep?
21 hours. Since last night at 11 o'clock.
What time is it now?
8 o'clock in the evening.
Didn't I go to work?
No, dear.
Holy Moses. I've got to call Carl.
No, not now. You just lie back.
He'll be furious.
He won't. I already called him.
What'd you tell him?
I didn't have to tell him anything. He understood perfectly.
How could he?
You really don't remember a thing about it, do you?
Did I get drunk or something? Blackout?
You don't remember going to Carl and Joan's house?
Carl and Joan Maynard? Their house?
The red lights. Remember them?
Red lights?
The music?
Was it Debussy?
Yes. See, now you do remember.
Yeah.
Remember the bent wood chairs and sitting in a semicircle and the cold wind?
We were waiting for
the entity to appear.
Yeah, to materialize.
That's right.
Well, did he?
Yes, my darling. Thanks to you.
What did I have to do with it?
You were the sensitive.
Me? Well, who was the entity?
A French soldier named Pierre Sorel. He fought under Napoleon and lost a leg at the Battle of Borodino. You remember?
Kind of. Not really.
But, darling, you were in a trance. I had a very hard time getting you home.
Am I all right now?
Well, you look all right. But you see, when the French soldier materialized, well, when any entity materializes, he sort of borrows things from the sensitive.
What things?
Well, he has to flesh out his body, you see? Oh, that's probably Carl or Joan wanting to know how you are. Hello?
Sally, this is Carl Maynard. How is he?
He's awake, and he seems fine.
Good, that's good, Sally. You remember last night?
We were just talking about
Pierre
it.
said something about the little lady who loved to sing and dance?
Yes, and he said she would again.
But before that, he said she'd be sick for a little while, remember?
Yes?
Sally? Joan's down with the flu.
No.
Yep, woke up this morning.
Oh, I've got to tell Philo.
Well, naturally, we want to hold another seance as soon as possible, but not until Joan's well. The doctor says maybe in a couple of weeks.
Oh, of course, Carl. Look, I've got to tell Philo. He'll be so pleased.
Sure. I'll give him my best. Tell him to take his time about coming back to work.
I will. Goodbye, Carl.
Tell me what?
Joan Maynard's down with the flu.
Oh?
Philo, that's what the entity predicted last night. Pierre said she would sing and dance in front of an audience. Now, I'm sure that means the Main Street Players because she's been nagging Carl to join. But first, she'd be sick for a little while. And now she is. Oh, isn't that exciting? As soon as she's well, we're going to have another seance.
Sally, am I really a sensitive?
Darling, of course you are.
Oh, what was that you said about the entity taking parts of the sensitive's body to build up his own body?
Only temporarily, darling.
Sally, call Frank Hayes and make an appointment for a complete checkup.
You had one a month ago.
Yes, but if I'm really a sensitive, if I'm going to go on with this thing, I've got to be in tip-top physical condition. Go on, Sally, call him. Say I'll be in tomorrow.
Roll up your sleeve, Philo, will you?
Sure.
Tell me about this seance that knocked you out.
It was the darndest thing. I didn't even want to go, but Sally was very keen on it, and besides, Carl Maynard is my boss, so...
Sure.
Well, the idea of the seance was to get an entity to materialize.
An entity?
Mm-hmm. A being from a sphere other than our own.
Uh-huh.
Well, in order to do this, you have to have a sensitive.
Yeah?
And that's somebody with enough nerve force, enough magnetism to attract the entity. Well, surprise, surprise, the sensitive turned out to be me. And I hadn't even wanted to go.
Lie back, will you, Philo? Yeah, that's it. How did you find out that you were the sensitive?
Well, that's what's so incomprehensible. We all sat around in a semicircle. I was bored to death, if you really want to know. And we talked a little bit, very quietly, very naturally. And that's the last thing I remember. I don't remember the materialization at all. I must have been in a trance state. That's the only explanation that makes any sense at all.
What happened when you were in this trance state?
Well, they tell me that this entity appeared. Just appeared. First as a sort of mist or vapor. Then it grew and developed into a man. He said his name was Pierre, and he'd been a soldier under Napoleon, and he'd lost his leg at Borodino. He wouldn't talk to anybody but me.
Because you were the sensitive.
That's right, yeah. I don't even remember getting home. Sally put me to bed, and I slept for 21 hours. Then I had her call you.
No, I was surprised. You just had a physical a month ago.
But you see, an entity has to have substance in order to materialize. And he gets this substance from the sensitive. They say it's only temporary, for as long as the seance lasts. But I wanted to make sure. If I'm going to go on with this thing...
Are you considering that?
If my health is okay, why not? True sensitives are very rare.
What kind of questions did this entity, this Pierre, answer?
That's the amazing part. He said that Joan Maynard would sing and dance on a stage. Now, she and Carl have been kicking around the idea of joining our little theater group. But, Pierre said, before that happened, she'd be sick for a while. And the very next day, Joan came down with the flu.
Well, there's a lot of it going around. Philo, I'd like to go to one of these seances sometime.
Joan will be pretty well soon. It's only the flu. Then we plan on having another one.
Well, keep me in mind.
I will. Oh, and Pierre predicted success for Carl. He disappeared right after that, so he didn't give any details.
Well, maybe next time.
That's what we're hoping. Well, how am I?
You're perfectly okay as far as I can see. I have to wait for the results of a couple of tests, but...
I feel wonderful.
Good. Come on, I'll walk you outside.
See you tonight?
Tonight?
At the theater. Tryouts for the Wild Duck.
Oh, no, I'm auditioning tomorrow night. A lot of us couldn't make it tonight, so they...
Well, good luck. You'd make a great Gregors.
I hope you get Hjalmar. We'd be working together. Have a lot of fun. Try and get me in on the next seance, right?
Right. So long.
Have you got his records?
Right here.
Thanks. Something's bothering me. Now, he was here for a checkup just a month ago. Here we are. What do you know? He's lost 10 pounds, and his blood pressure is way up. How about that?
Do you believe that a dead person can become alive? Well, sort of alive, for a limited length of time, by borrowing substance? Does that mean arteries and veins and muscles? Does that mean the dead person come alive can talk if he wants to? Does he have vocal cords? Can he walk about? I'll tell you something. I don't know. We shall return with the final act shortly.
You've never had a really exotic car, have you? Because you've always felt that you needed something a little more down to earth. But you still want that exotic car, don't you? You know what you need? A Buick Skyhawk. It's small, it's V6 powered. Hey, it's even got a hatchback. Now that's down to earth. But with things like bucket seats, available 5-speed manual transmission, and that laid-back, low-down styling, it's not exactly plain vanilla. The Buick Skyhawk, the car you need and the car you want.
Right now, Goodyear is cutting the deck and dealing. It's your chance to get really good low prices on Goodyear custom power cushion polyglass tires. Here's the deal. Get 2 custom power cushion polyglass tires for $59, size A7813, and $1.73 federal excise tax per tire and old tires. Goodyear low prices on larger sizes, too, at Goodyear stores and participating dealers. Come on in. Goodyear. It's the only game in town.
I came to Midas to get Midasized and got the shock of my life. The right shock for my car, absolutely free.
It's our special offer, good at Midas dealers until April 30th. When you buy 3 of our LifeGuard or SuperGuard or SpringGuard shocks, we give you the 4th shock absolutely free. They'll be the right shocks for the way you drive, and they'll be guaranteed as long as you own your car. So once you Midasize, you'll never have to buy shocks for that car again. If you think you need new shocks, now's the time to Midasize and get the shock of your life. 4 Midas shocks for the price of 3. Offer good until April 30th at participating dealers. Come to Midas for a free inspection.
The next time you feel that sway, don't compromise. Midasize.
Wherever you live or work in Greater Chicago, you're just a few minutes away from one of the 42 conveniently located Midas shops. When your car, foreign or domestic, needs servicing, check the white pages for the shop nearest you. This is WBBM Chicago.
At the close of Act 2, Philo Denby had just left his doctor's office, having gone there for a physical checkup after a trying session at a seance where he discovered that he himself was a true sensitive, capable of enticing an entity out of the grave and speaking with him. As Philo left the office, his doctor turned to the nurse.
Something's bothering me. He's lost 10 pounds. And his blood pressure's way up.
Are you comfortable, Philo? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine, Carl.
You better make sure.
Really, Frank, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Well, you see, Doctor, he's tied to the chair, and the chair is bolted to the floor. It's just a precaution. Something to silence the voices of doubt. Now, shall we all take our places?
I'd like to sit next to Philo, if that's all right.
Well, I'm afraid that's not all right. The proper conditions for a seance require alternating the sexes. Man, woman, man, woman, man, woman. So, if you'll just take the chair at the further end of the semicircle, I'll start the music. Debussy served us well last time, so, now, I think we're all set. As soon as I take my place, there we go. Quiet conversation is permissible, Dr. Hayes, on any subject.
Oh, fine. You all recovered from the flu, Mrs. Maynard?
Quite recovered, thank you.
Very nice of all of you to let me come here tonight.
We're glad to have you.
Yes, it's our pleasure.
Philo told me a little something about the last time. What? What is it?
The breeze.
The what?
The cool breeze.
Don't you feel it on your hands?
It should change to a wind very soon now.
Do you feel it, Dr. Hayes?
You know, I think I do. I can almost hear it.
I hear it, too.
I hear it.
So do I.
Look. The vapor. The mist.
From Philo's right side. You see, Dr. Hayes?
The entity is materializing.
It's Pierre.
I see his head.
Now his shoulders.
Fascinating. His whole torso.
His legs.
Yes.
Yes, he has a wooden leg, you know.
Philo told me.
Lost it in Borodino.
Yes, I know.
Why doesn't Philo speak to him?
Good evening, Pierre.
He got my thought telepathically.
Good evening. I am happy to be here.
Isn't he handsome?
You know, I think I can detect a heartbeat.
You mean that, Doctor?
Carl, does Philo know that we'd like to pick up where we left off last time? You know about your future.
Oh, yes. He knows. People with the psi faculty have precognition, Dr. Hayes, as well as
I can see his pulse beat and his breathing.
And you really...
That's incredible.
Frank's a doctor, Carl.
Look, I don't suppose you'd let me get up and go over to Philo?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
You could spoil everything.
Better stay where you are, Frank.
Anyway, we want to hear about Carl's future. If Philo would just ask him...
Is there anything you can tell us about about a certain person in this room. A man. Yeah, a man. You started to tell us last time, but... Success. Success. Yes, that's what you said before, but he's already very successful, and what we'd like to know is... I told you, success.
He sounds cross.
Oh, yes, but what more do you want? A few details. Do not bother me with details. But we need to know.
Excuse me.
Dr. Hayes. Frank, sit down.
Sit down.
Philo is my patient.
What are you doing?
You're spoiling everything.
You have no right.
We should never have let him in here.
Frank, please.
I think you all should know Philo's breathing is extremely rapid and his pulse rate extremely high. In my opinion, dangerously so.
Philo, you all right?
Just tired.
Well, no wonder. It was a very trying session for you. Very disappointing for us.
Well, Pierre did materialize, though, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Frank said he could see him breathe, see his heartbeat.
Oh, good. Good.
And then, just as we were about to find out about Carl's future, Frank had to go and spoil everything. He was worried about you. Got up from his chair, went over and took your pulse, listened to your breathing. Your breathing was very rapid and your pulse rate was very high, he said.
I feel fine now.
Well, that's good. But Carl says stay in bed all day if you want to.
Maybe I'll just do that. I may quit my job.
Would you do that?
Why not? I think my future lies in the psychic realm. True sensitives are very rare, Sally. You know that.
Yes, I do know that, but...
If I am one of them, then it's only logical that I...
That you what, Philo?
That I should devote myself to...
Oh, telephone. I'll be right back, darling. We need to talk about this. Hello?
Sally, this is Joan.
Yes, Joan.
Guess what?
What?
Well, Carl auditioned for the Main Street Players for the Wild Duck, and guess what?
What?
He got the part.
What part?
The part of Hjalmar. It's the lead. Imagine, my Carl is going to be a star.
Pierre said he was going to have success, remember?
Yeah.
When Philo asked him?
Yeah, by the way, how is Philo?
Well, exhausted.
Of course, but he's all right, isn't he?
I think so.
Don't you know?
Joan, he's talking funny, sort of, I don't know, drifting off and saying some kind of weird things.
Sally, is he going into a trance?
Well, I don't know. I never thought of that.
Then Pierre might materialize.
Maybe.
Oh, Sally, I'm coming over there. Now, don't you leave his side till I get there, okay?
Okay. Well, that was Joan, Philo. Are you all right, darling? She's coming over. She says Carl got the part of Hjalmar in The Wild Duck. Isn't that lucky? His first audition? Can you imagine? Philo? Philo.
It isn't a trance state, Sally.
Well, then what is it, Frank?
Sally, Philo is dead.
He can't be. He can't be.
He is. There's no doubt about it. Philo is dead.
But he was fine a little while ago. We were talking about giving up his job and becoming sensitive. And he started to sound kind of vague and rambling. And just then the phone rang. It was Joan Maynard, all excited because Carl had gotten a part in The Wild Duck.
Part of Hjalmar, I heard. I didn't want to tell Philo because I knew he wanted that part.
I told Joan that Philo was acting sort of funny, and she said he was probably going into a trance. I never dreamed.
Of course you didn't.
And Joan was very excited. She said maybe Pierre would materialize again if Philo was really in trance. Oh, dear.
There now.
And she said she would come right over if I'd known.
Well, you couldn't have known. How could you?
Right then, while I was talking to her, Philo was dying.
Sally.
But I had no idea. I said, sure, come on over. I had no idea. I hung up the phone. I came over to Philo's bed, and he looked all right. He really did, Frank.
Must have been very sudden.
And I said, honey, that was Joan Maynard. And she says Carl got the part in The Wild Duck. And he didn't answer me, Frank. He didn't answer me. And 2 minutes before that, we'd been talking about things. Oh,
You just go ahead and cry.
But that's all. When he didn't answer me, I called you.
I got here as fast as I could.
And now he's dead. Frank, why did he die? What killed him?
I don't know, Sally.
But you must know.
If you'll permit an autopsy.
Oh, no, I don't know about
He
that.
was in good health. We know that. He just had a checkup.
Do you think it had something to do with the seances? Do you think they were too much for him?
Sally, I just don't know.
Was it Pierre? Could he have... You know...
But as I said...
Frank, do you remember at the last seance, the one you were at, Philo and Pierre were having a little argument? Not an argument exactly. It was more like a disagreement. Do you remember?
Yes, Philo was trying to find out more about what kind of success Carl was going to have.
And Pierre didn't want to tell him. They got kind of irritable, both of them. That was when you got up and went over to Philo and took his pulse, remember?
His breathing was very rapid.
Do you think maybe Pierre?
Maybe Pierre killed him? No, Sally. No, I don't think so.
But that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Terrible. And I don't think it's true.
Well, that's the doorbell. Must be Joan.
You want me to go downstairs and open the door for her?
Yes, would you?
Sure.
Joan doesn't know what happened. She thinks Philo's in a trance.
I'll tell her.
I don't want to talk to anybody right now. I couldn't.
I understand.
Oh, Philo. What have we done to you?
My darling.
Pierre. Is it really you?
It is I, my love. C'est moi.
Take me in your arms, Pierre. And never let me go.
Have no fear, beloved. I shall never let you go. Never.
If you can believe that, you can believe anything. That's my opinion. But then, who am I? What am I? Just an average person? Trusting nothing? Suspicious of everything? What do I know? I wonder if anybody's planning to do the Wild Duck. I'd be great as Hjalmar. I could really get my teeth into that part. I'd be a smash. I'd really kill the people. I'll be back shortly.
Some people are never satisfied. They're always trying to do things a little bit better, trying a little bit harder to give people a little bit more. When people like that get together to make shirts, they call them the Arrow Shirt Company. And what they've done this time is come up with a brand new collar that feels, fits, and looks amazingly good. A collar so new, it's patented. They call it the Arrow Patented Custom Collar. This collar feels good because it's a whole inch wider at the bottom, just like your neck is. It fits good because it's adjustable by a full half inch, because your neck isn't always the same size. And it looks good because it's got a V opening, so the neck band doesn't show over your tie. The Arrow Patented Custom Collar. Another good reason it's hard to miss with Arrow.
It's hard to miss with Arrow. Arrow shirts.
Arrow, America's shirt maker.
Who's gonna help a child to walk? Make someone's dreams come true? Who's gonna help someone to talk? Easter seals and you, who will be working all year round, someone to count on too, and who will never let them down. Easter seals and you.
Easter seals help
helps crippled children and adults push back the limitations of their handicaps. Helps them to enjoy the good life. Miracles still happen, and you make them.
Easter seals and you.
Give to Easter Seals.
Easter seals and you.
Give to Easter Seals for crippled children and adults.
Easter seals.
You know, an actor doesn't just play what you see on the stage or the screen or hear on your radio, as you're doing now. No, in addition to what you see or hear, he plays in his own mind the entire life of the character he portrays. He knows his character from birth onwards to death and, well, why not? Maybe even beyond. With so much imagination, so much application, such energy and devotion, an actor, more than anyone, should be able to turn himself into an entity who materializes. Perhaps I could do it one day. I must keep a sharp lookout for a sensitive. Our cast included Gould, Teri Keane, Marian Haley, Ralph Bell, and Nat Polen. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by X-Lax and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Bank open when you're busy and closed when you're not? Northwest Federal Savings knows that a good place to save is ready for you when you're ready. Ready with the answers and advice given by professionals in helping thousands just like you, but each with different individual needs. Northwest Federal's professionals can show you, too, the best way to save for a new home, college education, or retirement. Northwest Federal's counselors can explain all the savings plans and help you set up a savings program to meet your special needs. Home loan specialists can tailor a home loan plan to help make your dreams a reality. Bring your needs to any of 5 convenient Northwest Federal Savings Centers throughout Chicagoland's great Northwest Territory. If you think your needs are special, so does Northwest Federal Savings. All the time, because Northwest Federal Savings keeps the best hours yours.
It's Northwest Federal Savings Time, 63 hours a week.
CBS News, an important event in Havana Tuesday night, a basketball game, but much more than that. This is Doug Poling reporting on the CBS Radio Network. Details on the Havana story from Ed Rabel in the Cuban capital.
For the first time since the United States broke relations with Cuba 16 years ago, an American flag was carried openly in the Havana Coliseum, the site of the basketball games between South Dakota and Cuba. The young American team, made up of members from South Dakota State and the University of South Dakota, was no match for the Cuban All-Star team, half of which played in the Olympics last year. Though the American team was scrappy, it was defeated by the more experienced Cubans 91-72. Senators Zabaresk and McGovern of South Dakota, who were instrumental in arranging the games with the Cubans, said Tuesday that the time was right for restoration of relations between Havana and Washington. The Cubans and the Americans will meet again tonight for another round of basketball diplomacy. Ed Rabel, CBS News, Havana.
More news in a moment.
I want that sinus medicine.
Headache tablet?
No, it relieves headache and congestion, internal sinus pressure, and postnasal drip. And it has added strength.
You mean added strength sign-off?
Exactly.
Added strength sign-off tablets give you pure pain reliever plus 50% more sinus drainer.
For sinus pressure.
Uh-huh. And twice as much sinus dryer.
Ah, for postnasal drip.
Right.
plus that full dose of pure aspirin for sinus headache pain. Added strength Sign-Off helps sinus pain while you drain.
I like that.
You'll like this, too. New Sign-Off once-a-day sinus spray, the fastest-known form of sinus congestion relief. Works in seconds, yet lasts hours longer than the leading mist. Once a day, once a night does it.
Signoff. Sign-Off.
Added strength tablets and new once-a-day sinus spray. The sinus medicines in a bright red box. Take when needed, only as directed.
Look for that bright red box.
A number of locales around the nation held elections Tuesday. In Los Angeles, Mayor Thomas Bradley appears to have jumped into a decisive lead in his bid for re-election. In Madison, Wisconsin, Mayor Paul Soglin has won a third term. Wyche Fowler, the president of the Atlanta City Council, was elected to Congress from Georgia's 5th District. Fowler will take the seat vacated by UN Ambassador Andrew Young. In St. Louis, State Senator James Conway has won a 4-year term as mayor. There are 25 candidates in a primary for Brock Adams' congressional seat from the state of Washington. It's expected to be some time yet before a trend develops. 7 people died Tuesday afternoon when a private plane crashed in a park in the Bronx section of New York City. A 14-year-old boy survived. The plane was carrying Alexander Guterma, a once well-known financier, and members of his family on a flight from Kentucky to New York's LaGuardia Airport. A spokesman for Southern Airways says it's believed that hail was responsible for yesterday's crash of its DC-9 in Georgia, which killed 68 people. The spokesman says it appears hail sucked into the jet engines caused the plane to lose power. Consumer advocate Ralph Nader Tuesday night had some ideas on what could be done to help people survive air crashes.
If the government would issue long-delayed safety standards, reducing the likelihood of fuel tank fires and explosion, tying down the seats more strongly, and reducing the likelihood of seat cushions and carpentry and wall materials from emitting deadly cyanide or carbon monoxide gases. Those are the major proposals that the FAA has been sitting on for years that could make many crashes, including the one recently in the Canary Islands, more survivable for some of the people in those planes.
But Nader said the airlines have a pretty good safety record as a whole. Nader appeared on the CBS News broadcast Who's Who. The Senate has confirmed Pittsburgh Mayor Peter Flaherty as Deputy Attorney General. The vote 87-4. Approval came over the objections of some civil rights leaders who claim Flaherty urged defiance of a lawful order for the desegregation of Pittsburgh public schools. Senator Bob Dole, Republican of Kansas, says the government erred in its delay in letting the public know about a surprise sale of soybeans to China. Dole says that the 6-day delay of the announcement by the Agriculture Department may have meant windfall profits to the exporters. Now this.
If your child throws away the lunch you sent to school today, send under, kids eat it up. If he fiddles with the middle then throws the bread away, send under, kids eat it up.
There are cheaper breads, but they're not always as fresh and soft, the way kids like bread.
When you send a lunch to school, make this the daily rule, send Wonder.
Kids eat it up. Try Wonder English muffins, too.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Kelly, CBS Radio Sports. The 41st Masters Golf Tournament gets underway on Thursday, April the 7th. And as always, I'll be there to bring you live daily reports direct from Greenside. You'll also hear my special reports in regularly scheduled CBS Radio Sports broadcasts. And as always, another big plus, net alert bulletins when sudden developments or change in leadership occurs. So follow the Masters, and remember, you'll hear live exclusive radio reports direct from Greenside at Augusta, only on the CBS Radio Network.
White House economic advisors Tuesday briefed congressional leaders on the inflation message that President Carter plans to give next week. Senator Alan Cranston, Democrat of California, said the lawmakers were told that inflation is now running between 5.5% and 6%, but is vulnerable to spurts triggered by factors that are beyond government control. This is Doug Poling, CBS News.
News Radio 78, WBBM, Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. This is Alan Alan Bickley on WBBM News Radio 78 in Chicago. Tonight's weather in Chicago, decreasing cloudiness, windy and cold with a chance of snow flurries and a low of 26 degrees. Tomorrow, partly sunny but continued cold with a high of 41. Then on Thursday, partly cloudy and warmer with a 40% chance of rain or snow. At Midway Airport now, it's 31 degrees. It's 36 at the lakefront, 35 at O'Hare Field. The humidity is 60%, the wind west 12 miles per hour. In the news, the boom may be lowered on hardened criminals if Governor Thompson has his way. He unveiled a Get Tough on Crime proposal that, if passed, will put habitual offenders in prison for life and set stiff penalties for particularly heinous crimes.
The most significant reform of the sentencing laws that we have proposed is the creation of a new class of felonies, Class X felonies. Felony committed while possessing a dangerous weapon, rape, kidnapping for ransom, arson, indecent liberties with a child, and transactions involving hard drugs.
Thompson says he will also introduce a bill forcing all people convicted of misdemeanors to be imprisoned in county jails rather than state institutions, including Cook County. The Illinois Department of Corrections says only 16 inmates are being held outside of. Cook County Sheriff Richard Elrod says in opposing the governor's plan, the state should take care of its own problems. The state, Elrod maintains, should not be the deciding factor in where an inmate is housed.
It depends on the nature of the crime. Quite a few of the misdemeanor convictions are reduced anyhow by way of plea bargaining to misdemeanors. It's up to the judge, and if the judge feels that it is not bad for the inmate, then we should follow the orders of the individual judge.
Elrod says the county jail now holds between 1,000 and 1,500 more inmates than it was designed for, and the transfer of inmates would only increase the burden. Finally, he says, more jails are needed. If more jails are needed, the state should build them. The WBBM News Times 11:34, temperature in Chicago is now 31 degrees.
Honey, I'm home. Where are you?
I'm in here, Toots, in the kitchen.
Hi, what you doing? Sitting on the window like that?
I'm fixing this window fan so we can get some cool air in here.
Oh, George, why not call Bryant Central Air Conditioning? It's the right time to make the change to central air conditioning. Let's not go through another hot, sticky summer.
All right.
We know Bobby has that allergy.
Okay.
It'll make us a lot more comfortable. Please, George. George, where are you going?
Call Bartlett Heating and Air Conditioning in Mount Prospect at 253-2770. That's 253-2770. Chicagoland Dodge Boys time, 11:35. Your money talks louder at your Chicagoland Dodge dealer. See Don Miller Dodge, 285 Roosevelt Road in Glen Ellen, for their price on a new 77 Dodge car or truck.
Why wait? Now there's no longer a reason to keep on waxing floors. You can have a genuine Armstrong Solarian no-wax floor for only 88 cents a square foot. That's right, only 88 cents a square foot for an Armstrong Solarian tile floor with the famous Mirabond wear surface. Mop it clean, rinse, and it really does look just waxed. And you don't have to pay for installing a Solarian tile floor because it's so easy to install yourself. Just peel off the paper backing from the self-stick tiles, place, and press. You've got yourself a no-wax floor. The special 88-cent price is available for a limited time only. Big selection of colors and patterns while they last. So come in now to these participating Armstrong dealers.
A&D Tile Home Center, 2641 West 59th Street in Chicago. Metropolitan Tile, 9201 West Ogden Avenue in Brookfield. And Moser Lumber, 301 West Washington in Naperville. The police are searching tonight for 3 men, one of whom shot and killed a 47-year-old grocer this afternoon during a robbery. Manuel Calderon was shot once in the chest while reaching for a shotgun behind the counter. Police say the grocer's move came when a gunman and 2 accomplices demanded money. The 3 men took Calderon's gun and an undetermined amount of money before fleeing in a car driven by a 4th man. An audit filed today shows the Illinois Department of Public Aid may have violated a state statute that requires a personnel board to interview prospective employees for the Public Aid Department and file their recommendation within 90 days. Cook County apparently has been doing things differently. A 3-man board looks at a list of applicants, and if no comment is made within 3 days, it is assumed they are eligible for hiring. Auditor General Robert Cronson talks about the county board's response to the audit.
The board didn't say anything. The department, which is the agency that we were auditing, said that they thought that they were not required to interview and approve caseworkers, and that this system they had worked out was acceptable. We obviously don't agree with them.
Cronson says his report now has been filed with the state legislature, and any action taken on the matter will have to come from another source. Attorney General William Scott and the Village of Arlington Heights combined forces in an attempt to get clarification of a 68-year-old Illinois law applicable in this case to prevent an apartment owner of the 12 Oaks apartment house from charging a $15 a month head tax on tenants who have children under 14 years of age. Scott outlines his strategy.
We feel very clearly that this is a subterfuge, a way to get around the Illinois law that says that landlords have to rent to families with children. And so we're going into the circuit court today to establish an attest case under declaratory judgment and for injunctive relief, just exactly what the scope is of the 1909 Illinois law.
Scott says about 75 children live in the 400 units. Joliet city officials and the firefighters union negotiators are back at the bargaining table tonight. The talks are an attempt to end a 5-day-old strike over wages in the Will County city. Will County Circuit Judge Michael Orenick has ordered both sides to continue talks, but he did not grant a temporary restraining order asked to force the firemen back to work. Judge Orenick ordered the talks to continue after finding that both sides have been negotiating in good faith. The strike was called after firemen demanded a 10% pay raise, and city officials offered a 7% pay increase. A report submitted to State School Superintendent Joseph Cronin points out that only 83 of Chicago's public schools out of a total of 669 are considered racially balanced. A total of 66,362 students attend these schools. They represent 12 7/10% of the total enrollment of some 524,000. The report also says the Chicago school system has special problems, and efforts are underway to achieve a racial balance in the system. The report cites efforts of a plan to be developed by the still-to-be-elected 40-member Citizens Advisory Committee on Student Desegregation. A victory for Republican banker James Lytle in the Evanston mayoral race.
It was open house last night at the residence of Evanston Alderman James Lytle. When his election as mayor of the suburb was assured, his house became wall-to-wall people, and we retired to an upstairs bedroom for a quiet chat. The important issues of the campaign as he saw them?
I think the issues that we debated that were most important were the economic development, the economic health of Evanston. I think the attitude towards our police and the possibility of reorganizing it was important. I think the attitude towards some of the basic city services, that I think it's essential that we reestablish sewers, curbs, gutters, viaducts, and replacing those and bringing them back up to standard, I think was another issue that was very important.
He said his predecessor, retiring Mayor Edgar Veneman Jr., did a fine job, but that he hopes to be more responsive to the people of his suburb. This is Len Walter.
Attorney Thomas Head swept a victory in Berwyn's mayoral election along with 10 other Democratic candidates. Missouri State Senator James Conway has been elected mayor of St. Louis. Conway, who is a Democrat, received 67% of the vote. James Stemler, a Republican, was second, and U.S. Representative William Clay, who conducted a write-in campaign, was third. Clay is also a Democrat. Mayor Paul Soglin of Madison, Wisconsin, is leading in his re-election bid. Soglin, a liberal Democrat, does not appear to have the majority necessary to avoid a runoff election with his nearest challenger, Alderman Anthony Amato, who is a conservative Republican. With 11 of 66 wards complete, Soglin has just over 5,600 votes to Amato's 4,700. In Los Angeles, Mayor Thomas Bradley has 53% of the vote in the latest tally, tops in the field of 11. He needs more than 50% to avoid a runoff in his bid for re-election. Bradley is the first black mayor of the nation's third largest city. In Atlanta, City Councilman Wyche Fowler won 62% of the vote in a runoff congressional election against civil rights leader John Lewis. The two were competing for the seat vacated by Andrew Young, who is now the United States ambassador to the United Nations. Steve Birnbaum reports on travel in just a moment. The WBVM News Time, 11:41. The temperature in Chicago, 31 degrees.
You know, Chicago Federal offers 6 different savings plans, and there's a good reason. Hi, Darward Kirby with a thought. Whatever your financial goals, monthly income, a tax-sheltered retirement plan, highest earnings, insured safety, Recognize some of those? What you've been looking for? Well, as I say, Chicago Federal can examine your goals and then suggest a financial plan tailored exactly to your needs. 6 financial plans. One of them, or maybe 2 or 3 in combination, can hold the key to your financial future. I've said it on TV, I've said it on radio, and I'll say it again. You can't beat financial security at Chicago Federal Savings. So take a tip from Durward Kirby. Visit Chicago Federal, downtown at Washington and State or Washington and Clark, in Northbrook at Sanders and Dundee, and in Lisle at Maple and Route 53. 6 plans, each with something a little different to offer, but all with one big advantage. They're available at Chicago Federal Savings right now.
And now it's time for travel with Steve Birnbaum, travel editor of Esquire magazine.
You've probably just finished hearing about all these wonderful, wild celebrations that were held just before Lent this year. Well, I'd like to tell you about absolutely the worst winter carnival that is held anywhere. It takes place every year in a frozen town called Prince George in British Columbia, where it's often too cold to go in summer, much less in winter. It's called the World Championship of Snow Golf, and it proves once again that there's virtually no limit to the lengths man will go to just to get some relief from cabin fever. I had the dubious distinction of playing in last year's tournament, which says something significant about my own sanity. For I awoke at 7 a.m. one February morning, noticed a dog frozen to a tree outside my motel room, and still blithely went out to play a round of golf. The object of the tournament was the traditional one, trying to get an uncooperative ball, purple in this case, into too small a hole, actually a bucket buried in about 10 feet of snow. The temperature outside got up as high as 20 below, and the only thing dumber than the fact of playing were the costumes that most of the combatants wore. You see, the best prizes were awarded for attire, which may explain all those men dressed as homely women, the women dressed as equally unattractive men, and the 4 special nutcases who were rigged out as chocolate chip cookies. Still, everyone seemed to have an inordinately good time, surely not the least due to the abundance of free, hot mulled wine. This is Steve Birnbaum.
Grab a piece of the sun, take it and run. All you'll need is the sunshine and JC. J-A-Y-C-double-E.
Grab a piece of the sun. JC suits with a fit that flatters the body beautifully. See the newest Fun in Sun bikinis and one-piece suits at Weebolt's, Madigan Brothers, and Kay Campbell.
Grab a piece of the sun, take it and run. All you'll need is the sunshine and JC. J-A-Y-C-double-E.
Grab your piece of the sun at Weebolt's, Madigan Brothers, and Kay Campbell. Here are the headlines in tonight's news. A number of elections were held across the country today. The president of the Atlanta City Council won Georgia's 5th congressional district seat. Wyche Fowler defeated black civil rights leader John Lewis in a runoff election. In a state of Washington primary, voters chose among 25 candidates for the congressional seat vacated by Trump.